Hello and welcome to Kismet and the Dark Yogi, brought to you by SourceMovement.com. We're here for people who want to be radically authentic and courageously vulnerable. So whether you're a yoga teacher building a tribe or an entrepreneur running a business, we're here to get your energy and mindset positioned for success. No more stress, no more lack of energy. Lead with full potential. Our intention is to leave the world a better place than we found it and inspire you to do the same. So let's have some fun. First thing I'd love to talk about is privates, or that rare that hopefully rare occurrence where only one person shows up to class. But if you're teaching at a newer studio or just have a new time or a new class time slot or something like that, like this can happen, and it's actually a really wonderful experience. Like sometimes I know it feels a little bit awkward. They're expecting so much more. And then you're there, and then they're like, oh, well, and then they get, this is the funny thing, this one always cracks me up, is like, oh, well, if I'm the only one, like, I don't need to, like, it's okay, like, we can just do it next time. Like, I love that one. Mm-hmm. It's so cute. Mm-hmm. No, you're here, you're freaking doing yoga, like, that's what we're doing. But you don't want to say that. Don't use those words. But that's your attitude. It's like, no, like, this is awesome. Like, the perfect person is here. And it's kind of like what Molly said, is like, whatever is coming out is going to be perfect. And she's just kind of in that space today, and that's wonderful. And that's the space when you show up to a class, is just like, that's always like a foundational piece. Exactly who needs to be here is going to be here. And if that's one person, then that's one person. And that's fine. That is the perfect person and the perfect experience that they need to have. So just as an example along those lines, I went down to teach a class at a new studio here in San Diego in a new time slot, and I had a no-show. Nobody showed up. And I thought, okay, well, I guess I needed to focus on my own practice a little bit today. So I did some of my own, I do some energy work, and I did some chanting that day, and it was really, there was one of the other people there at the desk, and they were like, wow, like, that was amazing, like, thank you for sharing that, like, great, okay, so that was my purpose, as far as I'm concerned. It's as simple as that. I need to show up and do what I was there to do, and hopefully some of that will spill over into the people who are there, right? But in the case where one person shows up, you're like, oh, okay. So, what I would do in that case is really truly just treat it as a private and make that person feel so welcome. Like, I am so happy you're here. Get on a first name basis really, really quickly. My name's Nick, What's your name? Cool. What brought you in today? So you want to ask them a few questions so that you can really tailor the experience for them. Mm-hmm. And it might take a couple minutes at the beginning of dialogue, but even if you spend 5 minutes doing that, like, you'll accomplish a lot more in that time together because you'll know exactly what they need. So here's a few questions that I would ask. What brings you in today? Kind of like we did on this call. Hey, mm-hmm. When you walk away from here, what could you use more than anything in the world? Great. Let's say, man, I'm kind of stressed out. Oh, wow. Well, what's stressing you out? Well, work has been tough. A lot of things have been thrown on my desk. The kids are crazy. I've been running around. It's still, just the beginning of the school year kind of feeling, and I'm running around everywhere, and it just seems like everything's coming at me all at once. And then you can reflect that to them like, oh, wow, it sounds like, you just got things coming at you from every direction right now, and you just need a little peace and quiet. Is that correct? And ask them, is that correct? Did I get that right? Yeah, cool. Great. And they'll be like, yeah. Or if you didn't get it right, they'll tell you. Mm-hmm. Great. It's called active listening. So you active listen back to them exactly what they said to make sure that you got it right and to make sure that you understand it. Don't worry about putting it in your own words. Reflect it back in their words. That'll help to make a smoother connection because then they'll hear their words reflected back. It's actually really, really powerful. So then you get the things from that. Okay, so number one, peace and quiet. Great. So, and then you might ask them, like, how are you feeling in this moment right now? Right? Do you have pain in your body? Are you feeling stressed out right now? You should be able to see that to them. If you're looking at their body language, you'll be able to see like, oh, this person's kind of jittery or very distracted, or maybe they're sitting awkwardly, okay, well, what's going on with your back or what's going on with your leg or whatever it is. So you can get some more specific information for them. And then just give yourself a minute and just kind of put together, don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. Take what you would normally do, in an instance like that. If they showed up for a vinyasa class, you're going to give them a vinyasa-ish experience. So you don't have to pitch your whole plan. You're just going to kind of customize it for them.
Can I interject something?
Yeah.
So this is all right on the money, and I just wanted to add in the ability to connect with one human being like this is so amazing. If you look at, all right, there's one person that just came to your class, you potentially might have your new best friend, or you might have a new client for a private lesson, or you might have someone that brings friends to the next class, or you might just meet someone who's really fascinating. So what Nick just talked about doing, do it. I just want to share with you that when they share something, thank them. Go, oh, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for letting me, thanks for being open. Like it's that active listening that he's talking about. You want to honor them. And when you're connecting with them, look them in the eye. Be really present. If they're already sitting on the mat, I kind of get down and face them and talk to them like you're having a cup of coffee. So it's a very connective moment that can seem uncomfortable at first and like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Do it. Get right lovingly into their space and inquire and thank them and make that connection.
Yeah, good point, because they're probably feeling a little uncomfortable too. Totally. So it's on you to help them just feel really at home.
Right.
And that comes from you, So it's super easy though, and it's just like if you really just remember that there's just another human being in there who really just wants some love and connection and whatever it is that they're there to get that day. So you want to get to what that is.
Right.
And that's where some of those questions will come in so handy is, hey, what do you want? What are you hoping to get out of this? Great. And then you just kind of take whatever you had in mind for the class. Unless it's radically different, if this person is super injured and is coming into a, power class, like you're definitely going to need to tailor that. But in general, you should be able to give them an experience like what they came in for and simply tailor it in certain ways to their needs. And from there, then you just kind of start with the experience. Great. So now we're going to move into the physical part of this. And you just start them wherever you would start them, and then you start to walk them through. The cool part about this is you can check in with them and get actual feedback. You can breathe with them, like be really present. You can give them some physical adjustments as needed. However, don't feel like you need to adjust them in every pose. Like they're still there for the yoga experience. Right. So let them have that experience and let them have that autonomy. Right? Especially if you've never met this person before, for you to be adjusting them in every pose is probably going to feel a little awkward on both ends, right? You want to give them an experience for a real class, right? A normal class where you wouldn't be able to do that with everybody, and that's great. So, you just start to take them through that, but the cool part about it is that you can ask for feedback,
But don't say feedback.
No. Yeah. Oh, God. Thank you for clarifying that. No. What I mean by that is feedback during the class of, hey, how does that feel? You just put them into a new pose. How are you doing? Right? Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Simple things like that. Not like, am I doing a good job, or how do you like the class, or anything like, do not, never, you never need to do that, except under specific circumstances, because it just sets up a very weird energy, and a kind of neediness and things like that. It's not good. What I mean by feedback, just to be super 100% clear on that, is feedback on their body, on their experience of this in their body. How are you feeling? Especially if you know that they have an injury. You doing okay there? So that they can give you some feedback on their experience of it, and then you can help to tweak them. Now, that's what makes it a more powerful experience for them, right? And it's totally not about you, of how you're doing and whatever.
Right.
So just want to be really, really clear in that. And just take them through the whole thing and just give them whatever it is that they came for. And because it's a single person, then you can really deliver on that. Give them whatever they came. This is the biggest mistake that people make when selling things, and essentially you're selling, right? That one person, you need to not only sell them on coming back, you need to sell them on bringing friends so that you have 2 people next time. Okay? So in the sales process, a lot of people go way, way off because they've got this thing and they want to sell this thing to that person. Never, never, never sell them what you want to sell them. Sell them what they're buying. That person showed up and bought an experience. Mm. So just give them whatever experience it is that they told you that they wanted as best as you can, right? As very best as you can. You just set it up in a way that says, great, this person came in, they're stressed out, they're going in a million different directions, and they wanted some peace and calm. Awesome. Give them that. And that's that, and call it a day. Maybe they're injured, right? Maybe they've got some challenges or some pain in their body. Awesome. Get specific with that. And then you can tailor it around that experience. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're brand new to yoga, and they don't really even know what they want. That's a great one. You say, okay, great. I'm so glad you're here. What we can do, then you can just give them some direction. Hey, what we can do then is I'm going to show you some of the basics so that you walk out of here and you're going to feel super comfortable walking into any class. How would that be?
That's a good one. Or you might have a student who's like a really strong practitioner, at which point you can really dial up things like plank pose, add little core strengthening, arm strengthening, moves, work on inversions if you're comfortable with that. You can get more workshoppy with someone like that, or just really help them to get a dynamite class and reach their edge by massive amount of breathing, holding poses. Say you do one flow where you hold the poses longer and then you move in the vinyasa style. So there's ways to make sure that practitioner who might be used to a bigger class can still reach their edge. Totally.
Yeah. It's going to feel differently. Mm-hmm. The energy of 2 people in a room is way, way different than the energy of 20 or 30 or 40. Mm-hmm. It just is different, and that's good. But that doesn't mean it can't be, very intense and everything like that. So the same principles of the energetic arc apply. You definitely don't want to, necessarily have it just be a flatline class just because there's one person there. You're still going to take it from wherever that person is and bring it up to an energetic peak and then let them integrate that experience. Mm-hmm. It's still this exact same strategy. And then from there, it's going to be a little bit different. The outline of that might be slightly different simply because, there's only one person there. So it's not going to have the energy of 50 people. It's going to have the energy of 2 people, which can still be super, super powerful. So I think that about covers it for that part.
Well, I wanted to add just a couple more things. I've experienced being the student, that is one. When I started yoga, I was in Hong Kong, and I went to this new posh studio, and there were like 5 amazing Indian master teachers, so it kind of scared me. But we were used to going in and having one-on-ones or maybe just 2 students, and actually we loved it because we got more attention. We got to connect with the teacher. Like, you have to understand from the student's perspective, they still are looking at you as the teacher, and you're something of a star in their mind. Even if you haven't been teaching very long, you're there, you're putting yourself out there. So just kind of walk in with not that they're worried or feel weird, but they're kind of excited that they're going to get a private lesson. So just know that's true. The other thing I want to share with you from the highest perspective is our guru, Swami Parthasarathy. He tells us regularly, I lecture to 3 people like I lecture to 3,000 people. I mean, he's got the most absolute objectivity. And to him, one person showing up to hear him speak, and this is a man that travels all over the world and is really quite famous, he will speak to that person as if there's 1,000. So I think it's a humbling thing for us and a great way to check in. It's like, all right, ego aside, perspective switches, put your hand on your heart, start connecting with these people and give massive gratitude that one person decided to show up and connect with you today.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's so beautiful. Myra, what's up?
Okay, so here's a question. It's kind of silly, but I know when I'm like one person comes and I'm teaching them and I'm going through the class, I kind of feel like I'm circling them like a little mountain lion or something.
I can see, like, yes, we do that. That's so cute.
And I don't know how to break that, or if it's okay to sit for a second while they're moving through it, or what.
It is okay to sit, and that's the cutest thing. I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
You can definitely just take a space. Like if they're teaching a class and you're having them flow on their own, or if you're just calling it out, it's okay to, for one thing, work on your energetic stance of, all right, I'm standing, say I'm going to stand a little bit to that person's right and behind, but I'm just really like present. You've got like a little open stance, a slight bend of the knees. You're holding the space. You're holding the space for them energetically. So if we begin, all of us, to look at how we stand, how we sit, how we move affects the energy of the room, then we understand why we stand, why we sit, why we move, right? So a power stance is like, boom, I'm holding the space for you. If you want to go ahead and sit, do so, but again, hold the space. And then if they're moving and you're still teaching and you want to walk around a little bit, do so, but pause. Like walk to this spot in the room and just kind of pause, keep talking, keep encouraging them, and notice, like, use your voice as well for that presence and that direction. You have anything to add to that?
Yeah, for me, I mostly, when I'm teaching privately, I sit a lot, actually, more than I ever would in any other class. And this is just my personal take on it. I found that it kind of gets me out of the way, so that I can let them have more of the space, and then just kind of, drop myself in as needed. But I love what Kisma just shared there as far as my biggest encouragement for you would be to be very, very aware of energetically how your presence is being felt, and projected there. So, notice, how far away you stand, or what it's like when you stand in their blind spot or behind them, how that might affect them, or if they're kind of craning to look at you or craning to look at your voice, or, something like that. It really depends on the individual. It's really just a simple thing of awareness, and try not, if you notice yourself getting into the kind of like stalking type of vibe, to step away from that. And that's a really great time to just sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that helpful? Is that good?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it. Is there anything else?
No.
Okay, cool. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks, Myra. Anybody else? Before I've got one more piece to give with that. I want to make sure that we're all clear on that part so far. Okay. So taking that into privates, it's really pretty much the same thing for privates. Now, with privates, one thing that I would really, really encourage is to step away from selling one-off privates. Is definitely to try and package those up into a 1 month, a 3 month, type of experience, preferably a 3-month experience. And here's how you think about that. Somebody comes to you, they want to do private yoga. That's awesome. Let's be real about it. Nobody freaking wants to do yoga. They're in yoga because they want a result from yoga. Okay? So number one is you have to know what result they want to accomplish. That's the number one. I don't want to do your frickin' juice cleanse. I don't want to do yoga. I definitely don't want to do insanity or anything like that. There's a lot of things, right? I want the result that those things will give me.
But they don't always know that. Like, I want to do yoga. Sorry.
Why? No, you don't. Why do you want to do yoga?
It feels good.
Great. So you want to feel good.
I want to feel good.
What does feel good mean?
Feel good means my body's open, I'm breathing, I feel accomplished, right? Then this is something all of our students, we want to feel accomplished.
Yeah.
That's why a class feels so good. It's like I did it, I'm in my body, my mind's clear, I can take on the rest of the day.
Yeah, and you happen to enjoy yoga, so you want to do yoga in order to get that.
I totally do. Unless the teacher's saying weird shit, then I don't.
Yeah, then it's weird, right? Then it's just not good. So, I mean, so there it is right there. Like, she's like, no, I want to do yoga. Yeah, right? But actually what she really wants is that.
Yeah.
And that's true for everybody. Like, nobody wants the thing. Everybody wants what the thing is going to give them. So when you're looking at that, like, that's the conversation. Great. Well, why private? You know, really, it's very much from a place of inquiry and just genuine curiosity. Why do you want to do private yoga? You know, what would you like to get out of that? What would you like to accomplish? You know, and then you can get all kinds of answers. You know, it could be that, like, I'm new to it and I want to do studio classes, but I just don't, you know, I don't feel comfortable going into a class with a bunch of people. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to feel like an idiot. Great. You know, that's a shorter term kind of thing. It's like, awesome, man. Let's schedule 3 or 4 privates, you know, and what you'll walk away with in that time is all the tools that you need to have a great structure in your body and to take your practice into public classes and feel so super confident doing that.
Yeah, and you'll use words like confidence. You know, you're going to feel so confident and so sure when you start taking public classes. This is what I really want for you. Because that's what's holding them back. They feel like, sadly, they'll be judged or they won't be good enough. And we have to remind them, you know, it's always going to be this practice and don't worry about that. But some people still want, and it's a great place for them to be open to get that instruction from you.
Yeah. And that's an easy one. Like, that's a smaller kind of thing. Like, that's what they want, is to be able to take public classes, which I totally support. I think that's beautiful. And you can do that. I would do it in 4 sessions. I would give them, you know, start with 4 sessions. You should be able in 4 sessions to get that person from point A to point B with that and to get them into some regular classes.
Unless they have some sort of, maybe they're very much overweight or they're getting over an injury, whatever it is. If they need more, they need more. Some of them just will want more because they want more of you, and that's okay too. Super
good. Really, really good input. Yeah, you have to tailor it to the individual. I just had in mind a guy, you know, who pinged me yesterday on Facebook of, you know, he's pretty fit, you know, he's pretty stiff, right? But he's been athletic in the past and everything like that. And he's had some things with his back and he knows that he needs to work on his core and stuff. I'm like, go here, talk to this person and set it up. But yeah, if they've got other things, you know, if they're, you know, like Donna said, then those are things you want to take into account. It might take you 6 sessions. It might take you 8. You make an assessment. You're the expert, so you make an assessment on what exactly you would need to do in order to get that person the result that they want. That's number 1 is the result. So, you know, whatever they need to do that. So that's one example. Another one is just where they really just want some personal attention. They need some personal attention in order to whatever it is that they want. Okay, it comes back to that. Well, why do you want to do yoga? You know, why private? Well, man, like, I'm just feeling really disconnected in my life and scattered in a million different directions. I don't know what the hell I'm doing or where I'm going, and I feel like, you know, if I had some personal attention with this and with my yoga practice, that I'd really be able to you know, to get better results in my life. Or they wouldn't use those words most likely, but, you know, but they'd say something to the effect of, if I were to have this personal attention, that I would get this, you know. So there's an instance where it's like, okay, this has got a little bit more of a coaching element to it, and you're going to have to tailor something a little bit differently for them. Okay. So with that in mind, then you take that into consideration. Okay, like, this person feels disconnected. They feel like they don't have a spiritual practice, or, you know, something like that, disconnected from their spiritual practice, disconnected from themselves, and not having any kind of momentum in their life. That's probably going to take you a little bit longer to really create that with that person. So there again, you put together a package with them, say 3 months, you know, weekly sessions. You can email them in between to check in, see how they're doing, have some email support, and then just come up with a price for that package. You know, where you get together, maybe 60 to 90 minute sessions in person. I'd probably go more towards 60 to 75 if it were me. You know, probably about a 45 or so minute yoga practice, and then 30 to 45 minutes of a one-on-one kind of coaching type of thing where you can just sort of talk through some things with them, give them tools in their spiritual practice, places to look and resources that you can help them get the kind of peace and connection that they're looking for. Right? Study materials, talk through stuff like that. You can tailor something specifically for them that will get them that result using yoga as a tool.
This is just such a great way for all of us to really develop our ability to connect and to serve and actually to start coaching. I mean, you're all spiritual coaches because of who you are and how you've trained and what you do. So with a private session, you'll find people really do just want guidance. They probably want their yoga practice to get better, and they want more of the result that Nick is talking about. They want to know they're on track with their life, and they look up to you. And that leads me, Nick used this word expert. I want you all to see yourselves as an expert. I don't care if you've been teaching one day. You put yourself out there. You went through a training. You did it. You are the expert. Energetically, you're the expert. So position yourself that way with gratitude. If you're doing it with gratitude, you won't be arrogant. You'll know you're there to serve in a really big way.
Totally. And then you tailor, you just take that, you're the expert and you should get paid as an expert. Right? So what that allows you to do, this is a big thing, right? And this is a really big transition. So I really want for you to take in this part of this whole discussion on privates, is basically stepping away from the hourly pay, I'm working for this person for an hour type of mindset. Right? It's a freelance mentality, which is basically an extension of the worker mentality. And where I want to see everybody transitioning to is to the entrepreneurial mindset, the expert mentality. You've paid good money and you have invested God knows how many hours to attain the knowledge that you have. Do you know everything there is to know about yoga? Probably not. I know I don't. However, compared to the people who are showing up to study with you, you are the expert. So you have to own that. And when you put together a package like this, one, you require that person to step up in a bigger way. They are not going to get the result that they want if they just do one-offs. Oh, I can't make it this week. I'm too busy. You got to resell them and you got to get paid every single time. It does them a disservice and it does you a disservice. So when you can get them into a package and then you can sell the value of that package, at the end of the day, what's it worth to you to feel connected to yourself? To really feel like you have a yoga practice and a stability in your yoga practice that you can call your own so that you can be more connected, peaceful, and grounded in your everyday. What is that really worth to you? Well, God, that's the best thing ever. That's practically priceless. Well, awesome, because I'm only going to charge this. So it's called a value juxtaposition. It's a huge, huge thing because then you're selling them the actual value of what they're buying. And you're having a very, very different conversation rather than, well, Susie down the street only charges $50 for a private and she'll spend 2 hours with a person. You know what? Screw Susie. All right? They can go study with Susie and have some crappy little experience, or they can study with the expert and you can get them a real result. Hello, Dark Yogi.
Totally.
But seriously, and that's how this goes with sales, by the way. This is the last thing I'm going to say on this is, if you don't sell them like this, they will go and buy somebody else's crappy thing at a discount, and they will miss the opportunity to study with you. Right. And they showed up to you. They're having the conversation with you.
Right. And you're going to be holding them, and this is something else you can share with them, email access, text access within certain boundaries. And let them know I'm holding the space energetically for you throughout the week. I want you to reach out. I want you to email me at the end of the day and tell me how it went, what we talked about, how did it serve you. There's an interaction. This is just not an hour of your time and their time. This is synergy between you, and you're really helping them to transform and transcend certain things in their lives. Yeah,
and then the dance comes into this, it becomes a dance because you signed on to get them the result that they want. And then once they're committed, right? Once you've got their credit card and they pay down, preferably paying in full for the entire thing, then you're committed to and they're fully committed. So then you're just going to do whatever's necessary to get that person to the result. Some people are going to be a little bit more needy. Some people are going to be super easy. No big deal. You do whatever you can do to get that person the result.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can have a further conversation about holding your space within that, because there are some nuances to that. But that should be enough to get you started. Hey, Suzanne.
Hey, I just wanted to comment on that. I thought that was really great, the part where you said screw Susie down the street, because that
not
is so
you,
true.
obviously.
I didn't mean,
No,
oh my God.
I know. I got it. No, but that is so true, because that is, it is the value that you put on yourself, and if you don't perceive yourself that way, nobody else will. So that is really powerful.
Oh, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
That is it. And we'll all get that, like to get the value of what you do and to have absolute faith and belief, like this is what I can deliver. And they'll see it in you, like they will know, and to constantly hold that energetic space of, yes, I get my value and you know what you'll do for people.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that.
And it's just, it like permeates through our entire life. And our friendships and our intimate relationships with our kids, if we have kids, with our family, the value of what we bring to all those relationships allows everybody to connect in a deeper way. It's when we don't see ourselves as worthy, that's when all relationships start to shut down, because we put walls up. So, and it's something that I think we begin to become conditioned in our society in a crazy way. But for people to not fear their own value is great, and when we can do that for our kids as well, it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else with a question?
Yeah, anybody else with questions about that? There's a trust factor. Last thing on this portion for me anyway. There's a trust factor too, that person is showing up, they want that result, and they're showing up in front of you. So there has to be a trust factor there, even if you don't think that you can do it, that's no accident. Mm-hmm. That's the law of karma at play. So, it's not possible for that situation to occur and you not to be able to get them the result that you want or that they want.
Right.
Right? Now, whether they show up and actually do the work and yada, 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 that's a different story. But it's the trust of yourself and just knowing that, yes, I can do this.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
This is no accident.
Good.
Right? Cool.
Let's move on to theme.
Themes.
Love it.
I love themes. It's a really exciting topic for me.
I'm just going to hop in and share what I have found for myself and the many teachers I worked with is less is more. However, we want to be able to say more than just like at the beginning of class and the end of class. And this is where I'm seeing out here in Southern California, I'm witnessing some really great physical teachers in some of the bigger corporate-like studios. And they'll say something really meaningful at the beginning. They'll say something sweet at the end. But most of them won't thread it through. And that's partly because my guess is we're in that moment of, okay, I got to remember the physical. I have to direct them. I have to control. It gets into a lot of, at least out here, controlling the physical. I'm not saying we don't want people to have safe, aligned, awesome physical practices. We do. But when we're solely focusing on that, then we can't step into that role of coming back to what our theme is. So one way to begin to become more comfortable constructing the theme is to ask questions to the class. The rhetorical questions, right? You don't really expect an answer. But one of them, like the intention and the be present, is awesome. At the beginning of class, you might just say, what is it you really want out of this practice? And then go a little bit deeper. Like, I don't mean like, let's hold an intention, let's be like, that's all good, everyone. I want you to go deeper and think, what is it that you really want? Do you want to mend a relationship? And then you can offer out, like you can pause a little bit, get them moving, and then say, do you want to mend a relationship? Is there something you need to forgive yourself for? Is there someone else you need to forgive? Whatever that really deep thing is, Let's find it. And then boom, you start moving, right? You go through a flow, you go through A's, you go through B's, or whatever your class is. And then whether they're in a child's pose or they're in a down dog, if you're not yet used to threading the theme in between poses as you direct, which you will be eventually, you can use the child's pose, you can use the down dog to then say something. Has it come to you yet? Has something come up? Does it feel uncomfortable? And if it does, congratulations. Because usually when there's an emotion or a thought that makes us uncomfortable, we're in the right place. So let's keep at it, because we know by now we're all here for something. And I, for one, am holding the space for you to get that. So see, I'm just giving like little generic inspirational tidbits based on what do they want from their practice, and then asking something of them. So that's a good place to come, is asking of them, not just the physical, but what is it that you want? How do you take it deeper? And then you might address it one more time in class, and then at the end of class, really lightly, gently, as they're going, don't talk through Shavasana, but right before is like, I know from the effort that you all put here, somehow you got what you came for, because it was just such an, you praise them. You say, you did such a great job. And if you need anything after class, I'm going to be here. So that's the beginning of threading a theme through a class where you feel like you can spit the words out and continue to get them moving. And as you do this more and more, you'll start to be like, okay, we're going to go into Warrior 2. How is that intention coming, everyone? Let's come into Reverse Warrior, lift the left arm, put the right arm back. Sometimes I know it's hard. Sometimes we have to go a little bit deeper. Lunge. Okay, so we'll lunge in the pose, and then we're going to lunge into our heart and really look at what it is we want. So then you start to couple the physical and the theme.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. Basically, the way that I think about themes now, this is probably going to sound a little weird, but I think about creating themes as part of a sales process. Mm-hmm. Like, I really do. And I know that sounds insane to some people, but it's really about that, of like, it comes back to those same questions as before. What do you want? Why are you here? If you're going to, and then talking them through that, right? So you're going to give them the benefits of that. You're selling them on an idea is effectively what's happening. So being present, right, is a great theme. It's very universal. I think I actually use that one as an example in some of those teachings. That was the one, right? Being present. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So really simple, right? And it shows up in so many different ways.
That's the gold. It shows up in so many different ways that most people have never tapped into.
Yeah, and most people are numb. You have to think about, the mindset of your student. You're not teaching them, you're not teaching them your practice, because your practice is probably going to be more advanced in different ways. You are teaching them what they need and what they're there for. By and large, people are numb. They are not present. They are out of their bodies, and they're either stuck in their head, or they are even out of their head and just totally disconnected. You'll see that in the eyes. Then you can ask some questions around that, and how I would do that. Then the idea is to keep it extremely conversational. You do not want to be up there just delivering some big teaching and some big deep thing. Think about what they can handle. It's super simple, right? It's very much like how I would approach that is, hey, man, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's noisy out there. And between my phone and my computer and all the other things that are beeping and blinking at me and pulling me in different directions, it is hard for me to just be present. Mm-hmm. My mind is just going everywhere. How are you doing with that? Did you ever think about what would be possible if you were, if we were able to be really present in our lives, really present in the moment? Boom, done. That's enough, because now you've set it up with a brief experience. Hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's freaking noisy, and we're distracted. We're an extremely distracted society. I wonder what it would be like. What do you think would be possible? This is the powerful question, right? What do you think would be possible if you were able to be really present to every experience in your life? Most people will be like, well, I don't know. But now you've engaged them in a new level, right, where they're really, now they can start to think about that. So every time that you bring that theme back through the class, it comes back with maybe a little example. Man, I was driving home the other day and I had so much going on in my head. I drove my car for an hour and I was freaking surprised when I showed up in my driveway. I did not remember my drive. Anybody else ever have that experience? Dude, that's scary. I'm hurtling down the freeway in a box of metal, at 80 miles an hour, and I don't remember it. Wow, I wonder how many other things that I'm just colliding with that I have no idea about. And it's a kind of a funny example that a lot of people have had, an experience that a lot of people have had that brings them back to that idea of being present and how powerful and important that is. And then you can go into the benefits, right? Wow, again, what's possible? Hey, you can ask them so they create their own benefits. You don't necessarily tell them the benefits. You can, right? But it's better if you get them to think it for themselves. So that's where the sales process comes in, because you're getting them to say, gee, I wonder how your relationships would change. I can only imagine, what it's like, putting together, lunches for 3 kids in the morning and getting them off to school. Gee, I wonder what it would be like if you were really to be able to be present through that experience and really connect with them. I wonder if that would change those relationships. Or I wonder what would be possible at work. If you weren't, what would you be able to accomplish if you were just be able to be present and more focused in your work? You think that you'd get that raise or that promotion you've been waiting for? If you're an entrepreneur, you think you'd be able to get more done? You think you'd be able to, be more productive? Wow, do you think you'd be able to find a little bit more joy? And any one of these, all of these questions is too much, but you'll know the right ones. That's the part where you just kind of get into the experience, let go, really observe your students, and just listen for whatever's coming up. And if something weird comes up and you're like, I don't really know about that, freaking say it. Just go for it, right? Let that creative flow come through. I have said some pretty bizarre things in class, and that's where, great example is like I just said, I don't know where that Susie comment came from in the dark yogi. I didn't mean for that to come out. It just came out, right? But that was the one thing that really connected. So you never know, right? So as things come through, you can ask the questions as they come through. Let the creative process unfold. And that's where your theme will start to come together. And then you just stop. You're not at a certain point when you're done. You're just done, right? When you're out of time for it. So there's going to be a million things left unsaid. There's going to be a million different ways you could have said whatever, right? But you just trust that enough is enough. So that, and I say it for myself and I say it for them at the end of the class is, before Shavasana is wow, that, great job, everybody. Let's take some time and just really let any of that sink in. Mm-hmm. Just let it sink in. And then you just shut up. Just like you do after you ask those questions, shut up. You don't need to say anything. Just let them sit with the questions.
And here's something to understand. If you're a teacher that's working with themes, at some point, chances are you're going to stir something up in someone. This is okay. And it sure beats being the vanilla teacher that never says anything inspiring and just keeps talking about the shoulder blades. You want to stir it up. And if a student comes to you, they're upset or they say something, they disagree, you put your left hand on your heart, you listen to them and just thank them so much for sharing. Thank them. You have to remember, if you're always coming from that love and appreciation, you will diminish their fear. You'll help them to get clear, because when someone, and I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow, I don't want you worrying about it. I'm just saying there might be a time. I know I've stirred things up in people. I had no idea. There's just something I said, and this is why we're here, because unless things get stirred up, they don't transform. And if you continue to hold the space of love and compassion, they will calm down and they'll get more clear.
Totally. Yeah. And it's very much, that's a big thing, good job. And at first I would get really uncomfortable around that of I did something wrong or bad, because this person's, showing this emotion or whatever, they're upset with me or what I said. But what I came to realize is that gold, man, when I get somebody like that, I got a live one. Like, I got somebody who's ready to interact. Like, this person really thought. They thought enough to get offended. Awesome. Like, let's have a conversation about that. And those turned out to be some of them just kind of went away, but many of those people, you know, have turned out to be longtime students and friends even.
Mm-hmm.
That just got tripped out by something, you know, that I said.
And chances are you guys aren't going to be like Nick. So.
Yeah, you're probably not going to do that.
But
some of that.
Let's pause and see if there's any questions.
Suzanne.
I just wanted to say thanks for that, because that's really what I needed to hear today.
Awesome.
I'm so new at this. And so just trying to integrate this into a class is tough for me. So this is really great info.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
And if you get any other questions or whatever, just put it into the forum on Facebook so we can get to it. But yeah, just start with a little, seed it through, ask some questions, hold the space.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
So, especially being new to it, I just want to really take the pressure off for you. You're perfect just showing up, and keep it really simple and really conversational. You do not need to prove yourself to anybody, and you don't need to, give them, the most deep and profound teaching or anything like that. You being you is perfect, and it is way, way more than enough. And then when you can just include a little bit of this in a very simple and conversational way, then the process will unfold for you way more naturally than trying to force anything. Does that make sense?
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. And then we're there for you in the forum. Delivering messages during classes is one of the things I'm super passionate about. So I would welcome any interaction around that, because I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. So please feel free to chime in with any questions there. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
All right, guys. Awesome.
We love you all. You are awesome, and we will talk to you soon.